Hi everyone, thank you for taking the time to tune into this short video. I promise to keep it as clear and informative as possible without taking up too much of your precious time. So this video was focusing on the importance of reading at home, and we just felt in school that following 2 years of very disrupted school life and learning, now was the ideal opportunity to revamp what we do in school in terms of reading and what we would like parents to do at home in terms of reading. So this video will focus on the importance of reading, and then I will do another short video which looks at the changes we're making for reading at home. So if you would watch both, that would be super. And I will get started. So let's get started on the importance of reading. So we'll begin by looking at some reasons about why we should read, and these really are just a few reasons because there are so many more on why we should encourage our children to read. So this first bullet point relates to those very first stages of reading, and it's those precious moments that you create at home really, where you've got a very safe, cosy environment with your child, and you're reading stories or singing nursery rhymes, and we can tend to stop doing this as they get older, but really we shouldn't. We should carry on with that for as long as possible. The second bullet point, reading exposes children to different language that they may not use in conversation. So many very popular children's books are from the past or from your own childhood, and this provides an opportunity for children to ask questions about its language as well as the past. It again encourages that speech, that conversation, that talk. So if I give you an example of this, I was reading a book to my daughter a couple of nights ago, and it was about these teddy bears that had gone to a fair, and at the fair there was a coconut shy. So she had no idea what this is because I don't think they do exist anymore. So we had a conversation about what the coconut shy was, and she was sort of asking questions about why they're maybe not around anymore. I can answer them, but the point is we were having a conversation about vocabulary, and you never know that those words might come up in a text that she sees in the future, and therefore she's already got some knowledge there about that. So the third bullet point is an obvious one. Reading gains knowledge, and knowledge is power. It is obvious, but perhaps we don't think about it enough. So children's brains are like sponges. They're of an age where they're at the optimum learning capability, and I'm sure as adults we know how difficult it is to learn new things now, but children are able to absorb so much learning, and that's exactly what they're supposed to do. So to quote Dr. Seuss, the more you read, the more you know, the more that you learn, the more places you'll go, and that's absolutely true. So the fourth bullet point down about reading can transport you to other worlds. It's similar to point 2. Reading is opening children's eyes to the worlds around them, and let's be honest, it's been a pretty limited view of that world for the past 2 years. But being able to look at a book which takes them to London or to New York or to a desert island or into space, it really does open their eyes to what is around them, and I'm sure as parents that's something that we want all our children to experience. Number 5, about reading encourages empathy. This is a very significant reason to read, and it's something that we are told a lot as educators, but maybe not something we share enough with you as parents. When I was on an English course a few years ago, a really horrific fact that kind of stuck out in my head would be that in the USA they used to work out how many prison beds would be needed in future based on children's literacy scores and reading scores. Now that might seem extreme, but there's a very strong link between low literacy levels and ending up involved in crime. And the National Literacy Trust, who work in the UK, have found that in recent research, 50% of UK prisoners are functionally illiterate. Now please know that I am not telling you this to scare you or to say that if your child struggles with reading then they will end up in prison, because that's not the case at all. But what I am alluding to is that children who read have better life chances. And back to that point in empathy, in these various studies looking at the link between low literacy levels and being being involved in crime, a reason for that could have been that they had a lack of empathy, a lack of emotional intelligence. Now, I think empathy is essentially caring for other human beings who are not within your family makeup. And this is a huge skill, and if children can experience this through reading, through understanding characters and characters' emotions, well, quite honestly, it could make the world a much happier place for us all. So point 6 is about, again, an obvious one. So reading is exercise for your brain, keeps it in good health. And the last one, reading can be a stress release. So I really would like to emphasise the word can here, because I do completely understand that reading with your child at night should be a lovely, calming thing to do. But in reality, when we lead busy lives, and if your child or children aren't particularly interested or wanting to read, then the last thing this can seem like is a stress release. So we do acknowledge this, and when we look at reading home more practically, we will address this to try and make the process as stress-less as possible. So this is the reading partnership, and this is a very simplistic picture, but in a lot of ways it is true. So prior to your child starting school, you interact with them, you chat with them, you sing with them, you play with them. I've no doubt you read with them. And this really is also important, and it shouldn't stop when they start school. We'll then step in as educators, and we are so important of the role that we have to play in ensuring that your child leaves school as a confident reader. In fact, in all honesty, it is probably our most important job. So because of that, we spend a large part of the day reading. So we have a 30-minute reading session every single day, whether it's whole class, guided groups, independently. Children in reception and Key Stage 1 have phonics every single day. Every English lesson we deliver daily will involve some aspect of reading. Sometimes the entire lesson is focusing on this. We have story time every single day where children listen to their teachers read aloud, and the teachers choose books that we hope that the children will enjoy hearing, as well as exposing them to different cultures and picking characters that they can relate to themselves. We do have reading interventions in school for those children who require a bit more help with these skills. And in almost every other part of the curriculum, whether it's science, history, maths, the children are exposed to texts where they have to use their reading skills to understand and interpret them. So part of the partnership involves you reading at home, and a part of the partnership involves the work we do in school. And the joint partnership shows your child how much school and home value the importance of reading, but ultimately it will help to strengthen their reading skills and enable them to move towards becoming that confident reader. So I won't read this out to you, these are just some reading statistics, but just to reinforce this message how important this message is about reading at home. So up to the age of 5, talking, speech, conversation is absolutely the main method of communicating, but after the age of 5, reading steps in, and it becomes that something more that they really need. So there's some pretty startling statistics here. So these are sort of how many words a child has heard by the time they're 5. And if you just have a look at the difference between those children that are never been read to and those children who are read to sort of 3 to 5 times per week, it's like 165,000 words difference there, which is just absolutely enormous. And it's clear to anyone who can see that not reading to your child is putting them at a disadvantage. So we need to make sure we are providing as much opportunity to read together as we realistically can do. Okay, so just to finish off, I thought I would share a little video with you just to remind you about why we are here and to show just how much enjoyment that children can get from reading. So thank you very much for watching.